Hello, this is Tom, aka Jedion, here for Tabletop Tap Room. And today's video is on karma. WotC, karma, and the tax man cometh for Justin Lanasa. Karma's going to take a big old bite out of his butt. But before we get to that, let me just say thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you've not subscribed, please do hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. But until then, let's get right to it. Justin has been off his rocker. Been getting desperate lately. Last year, he made numerous alts on Twitter. Sock puppet accounts, and he would say the most heinous things, hate speech, disgusting stuff. And of course, we would report it. That sock puppet account would get locked down. He'd create a new one. We'd report that. And it would get locked down. And so all of a sudden now, one day we realized we haven't heard from Justin on Twitter lately. And what we think has happened is Twitter has had enough of this shenanigans, and they've locked down his IP address. That his IP address cannot open up any more accounts. That's what we think has happened, because it's all been quiet on the Twitter front. But it has not been quiet on the Facebook front. Facebook, he has spouted off, creating sock puppet accounts. Most recent is called, my opinion, it's called Rod Cooper. Rod Cooper has just spoken craziness, and I've posted some of the communications I've had with him on Facebook. And but last night I got some more. And because I keep communicating with this Rod Cooper alt face, it's brand new. It was created last November. I keep communicating with it because I've been blocked by Justin, and so it's actually a nice change to actually talk with the man himself. So we keep messaging him. So you're going to see him say here, I'm going to show you a communication. He's going to be like, stop messaging. I just messaged him again. I don't care. Having fun with this. And he loses his cool and spouts off and says delusional, crazy stuff. So let me bring this up in a share screen. And he sticks with the, and again, I keep calling him Justin, and he's not Justin, Mr. Paranoia. So you, Dawn, Tencarp, all done getting paid off my Luke. I don't know what that means. Maybe he owns Luke Gygax now. I don't know. Weird. You are jealous of what TSR is and what it has become. Loser is right, and that is you. Stop messaging me. Well, naturally, I'm going to message him. And I decided to poke the bear. So I just actually come into possession of his driving record. And I decided to use that because he had just recently done the I eat steak. You think McDonald's is great. So here we go. TSR is a joke run by a broke loser. Why would I be jealous of it or him? Justin has dozens of driving infractions for expired registration. Like I said, I just came into possession of his driving record, and dozens, I mean like 30 of expired registration, covering up the registration, covering up the plate, covering and disguising his plate. The broke loser is too poor to register his vehicles, that he tries to switch plates and brags that he eats steak, but it's most likely it's just roadkill. Pitiful. So I poke the bear. And, why not? Mr. I eat steak can't even pay the excise tax on his vehicles. Well, he comes back, and this is where it gets really interesting. You tell Tencarps. Now, note, you said Tencarp twice now. Only one person in the world calls Eric Tencarp, and that's Justin Lanasa. Justin Lanasa, who famously made a parody card, and put it in his Dungeon Crawl board game called Tencarp. So it was like his thumbprint signature right here on this communication. And let me move my little window. Tell 10 Carp's butt buddy Mike at Texas RPG Con. That would be North Texas RPG Con, and it would be Bad Mike Battle Auto that he's referring to here, who runs that con, that he needs to pull down using the TSR logo on the cup. He is not authorized, according to my sources. He's trying to maintain the illusion that it's not Justin. And that fat piece of alcoholic trash, I think he meant alcoholic trash, is going to find his butt and convention in court for violating trademarks of others. Before I finish reading this, let's just deal with the cup. Here is the cup. I contacted Bad Mike. I sent him the copy of the communication. I said, can you send me a picture of the cup? I might want it for a video. This is the cup. Bad Mike bought this in 1993. He bought it from the original authentic TSR. They sold it to him. It's their logo. And Justin's trying to assert that he owns this logo that he has nothing to do with. He's just squatting on the TSR trademarks and logos. He's claiming you might have bought that cup, but you better not be seen drinking it on video. That would be just like, for scale and reference, this poster on the wall behind me that I had framed, matted and framed. That is the Middle Earth map by Iron Crown Enterprises. It's not even the folded one. That's what most people got, was the folded one that was folded and put inside a guidebook. This one was rolled and shipped to me in a tube, so there's no creases. So it's harder to get. And I had it for years in the hobby room. And the good wife was like, why don't you frame this and hang it? You can't enjoy it in the tube. And she was right. And I'm so glad she pushed me. And, you know, she's a fan of Middle Earth too. And so we got it framed and hung. Now, it's clearly in the video with me. But Token Enterprises is not going, hey, cease and desist. We own Middle Earth. You can't have our IP on the wall. I bought the map. I bought the poster. I framed it. I hang it on the wall. Too bad. You know, I mean, and seriously, somebody's got a copyright on this, but I could do a review of it. So you could see it on video with me. There's nothing wrong. I've paid for the book. I can do it. So this whole thing of this coffee cup is just delusional. I mean, you pull up any first edition TSR products with the TSR logo on it and do a review. And I'm not violating any trademarks by doing this. I can totally do a fair use review. And Mike drinking from a cup that he bought. You know, I'm like, go ahead, Justin. You want to hemorrhage some more money? Sue Mike. I'm sure it would make his day. You better find out if they've got slap laws in Texas before you do that, or what their response is to frivolous lawsuits. I imagine it being Texas judiciary must have an interesting, response to frivolous lawsuits. So Justin's having a meltdown. Now notice this last statement. F you, Tom. You don't know anything about what happened to Justin. Cheap shots at someone you are jealous of. Effing loser is all you are, all you'll ever be. Well, actually, I think you're winning, Justin, but that's okay. You call me a loser. Yes, I did take a cheap shot, didn't I? That was a cheap shot I took, bringing up the driving record and mocking him that he couldn't pay his excise tax. Mr. I eat steak. But this is basically an admission that he is Justin when he's like, you're just taking a cheap shot. You don't know what's going on. Thank you, Justin, for confirming it was you. Twice using 10 carp, and then not denying the pretending you don't know what's going on with all of that driving record, but you do know what's going on, and you called me on it for taking a cheap shot. I did take a cheap shot, but you stupidly just confirmed that it is you, and that it is you hiding behind Rod Cooper. So Justin is just as delusional as Deinhardt. Deinhardt earlier this week did a post claiming WotC doesn't even exist since 1997. He claimed that the early first edition of Dungeons and Dragons was not protected, which is interesting because I go right here in my copy of the Player's Handbook, and there it is, copyright 1978 by Gary Gygax, copyright 1978 TSR Games. It was protected. These guys are delusional. But now we have to report on karma. Karma is coming for Justin Lanasa. How is that? Well, it turns out I now have reports from two individuals that they have reported. One reported him, Justin Lanasa, to the Revenue Department of the state of Wisconsin, to the Revenue Department of the state of North Carolina, and to the IRS. The other person has strictly limited themselves to reporting Justin Lanasa to the Revenue Department of the state of North Carolina and the IRS. And so this is the karma that's now coming. What happens when you piss off everybody in the hobby? Everybody's willing to rat you out. When you say such homophobic, transphobic, racist, nasty comments, attack people's dead daughters, attack people's kids with special needs, everybody's willing to rat you out, report you for all of your misbehavior to the appropriate authorities, which is what has happened. Now, here's what's going down. Wisconsin. Last year, somebody came to me and says, do you think he's collecting sales tax? Because he was convicted of failure to collect sales tax on one of his businesses in North Carolina. And I said, that's a great question. And I immediately contacted a buddy of mine who had gone on a family trip, and his daughter wanted to go into the Dungeon Hobby Shop. And while she was in there, I think she bought a set of dice and a patch. So I contacted him. I said, you still have that receipt? He's like, no. And so I then began exploring options to find a straw buyer who would go in and just buy a package of dice, buy a patch, nominal purchase. I will reimburse you. I need an image of the receipt. So I pursued that for a little bit, and I got no traction, and I kind of dropped it in favor of other things to report at the time. Well, it turns out that he is not collecting sales tax at the Dungeon Hobby Shop. Dungeon Hobby Shop, of course, is a brick and mortar business located in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It therefore has an obligation to collect sales tax, and it has an obligation to remit sales tax. And the state of Wisconsin is opening an investigation into Dungeon Hobby Shop and Justin Lanasa on this very issue. The reporting to the state of North Carolina is a little more complicated. It's a little more involved, but it is tax fraud, and the state, one of the people who reported to me said, and I quote, when I talked to the investigator, which was the prosecutor that prosecuted him previously, the first thing out of her mouth was, not this guy again. So the state of North Carolina has his name. They have his number. They know his shenanigans. They've already convicted him of tax fraud and failure to collect. So that's the other investigation that's going forward. And then, to my certain knowledge, I know I am. One of my sources categorically says, "Yeah, I reported him to the IRS." The other source implied that they reported him to the IRS. So that's the knowledge that I have. I do not have certain knowledge that the IRS has started an investigation. But I know the evidence that the one individual reported, and it's credible evidence. And both sources come off as credible sources. So it's hard to imagine the IRS not opening an investigation into tax fraud. Hard to imagine. So this is the karma that is coming home to roost. We've had to contend ourselves with these things take time. The court case with WotC due to go to court in October. We got to wait that long. We've been waiting since last year. It's frustrating, I know. But now the government is getting involved in Justin Lanasa's crap. And karma's coming home. The house of cards is beginning to fall. And the man who has been hemorrhaging money on legal fees, court cases, a failed TSR Con 2 where nobody showed up, in order to engineer a special guest at his failed con, he bought a painting from Larry Elmore so they could then take pictures. Larry turning the painting over to him. Look, Larry Elmore was at our con. He just showed up to sell this painting. Good for him. Because, that probably cost Justin $5,000 to $7,000, somewhere in there. About what a Larry Elmore goes for these days. And so he hemorrhaged money just to engineer a special guest. Whoa, Larry Elmore. You just missed Larry Elmore. Larry Elmore was at the con. Larry Elmore was just there to sell the painting. And good for him. Good for him. $5,000, $7,000, more than paid for his whole trip to Wisconsin, right? So fantastic for Larry. But Justin's hemorrhaging money. He's got cars he can't pay the excise tax on. He's got 20 properties that he owns between him and his wife. Some of the properties are solely in his name, and some of the properties are jointly in both their names. Property tax, baby. You got to pay property tax. He's hemorrhaging money on 19 properties. He can't even pay his excise tax on his vehicles. All those expired registration charges. Failed con, court cases, legal fees, and the court case is not going well in New York State. We see evidence that his lawyer is looking to get out of it, looking for an off-ramp. So it's just not going well. It's not going well for Justin, and karma is coming home to bite him in the butt. So you can screw around. You can screw around a lot like Lanasa has. But you don't screw around with the tax man, because the tax man is karma, and he's coming for you. So you've heard it here first. There are tax fraud investigations being initiated on Justin Lanasa for his shenanigans, for failure to collect sales tax. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room reporting out on karma and WotC coming to crush Justin. It is taking time, but it's going to be awesome to behold as it goes forward. The man is hemorrhaging money and getting desperate. Hence the ranting from the bunker like Hitler against Bad Mike. Don't you dare appear with a coffee cup you bought in 1997 on video, or I'll sue you. It's absolute craziness. Absolute craziness. So karma has come home to roost. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And keep on gaming, just not with a NuTSR product.